What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY and the broader markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below or use my QR code right here to sign up. If you sign up and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 for free Nvidia stock. If you deposit $2,000, you're going to get $50 worth of Nvidia. Deposits $10,000 to get $300 worth of the stock, or deposits $50,000 to get $1,000 of free Nvidia. The offer ends very soon, in just 4 days from now, so check out my link down below to sign up. Anyways, looking at the market right now, I just wanted to mention that there have been some very interesting things going on for Tesla. Deutsche Bank, for example, named Tesla as top stock for 2026, talking about its AI advancements. But other than that, there's not really a whole lot else coming out on the news. Now, the market is very interesting. We basically got this massive pump with Jerome Powell's speech. Then we dumped back down with Oracle's earnings. The market came back down, and now we're just trading sideways. So we're going to see which way we end up breaking in our ranges. But SPY and the QQQ have more extreme levels. We basically pumped and dumped, started to pump again. Now we're trying to hold up, and we're going to see if we pump more or if we reject. Same thing with the QQQ. We had this big pump and a massive dump. Then we came back up, and now we're just in the middle. So we're going to be watching to see how our catalysts affect us. This is also influencing Tesla to kind of like pump and dump, and we're still trading sideways this pre-market session. Today is Thursday, December 11th, 2025. Looking at the overall numbers, initial jobless claims is basically above expectations, and everything else is kind of flat right now. We're just waiting for a couple of bill auctions at 11:30 a.m. Now, when it comes to the Fed, I just want to mention that the Fed gave us a 25 basis point cut, but they were not united on that front because they were, kind of looking at things from different perspectives. There was a quick uptick in unemployment, which is what kind of like made the difference for the Fed. But overall, they're going to be very cautious, and they have to wait and see what happens as time goes on with the latest pieces of data. And overall, they are easing a bit more on policy because of what they're seeing so far, and they do believe that inflation is going to become more tame. So for now, they believe that, but we have to wait and see what the data tells us just for confirmation. Now, after that, we had Oracle missing on its revenue, and we saw the share price tank. The price is still dropping right now. That's part of why the overall market saw a bit of a sell off. And besides that, I'm not seeing anything else that's too crazy on the news. But overall, just wanted to say that the market had like two things really affecting it. We had FOMC and then Oracle's earnings. FOMC, it went well. The market held up nicely, only to get a big rejection afterwards. Lastly, for earnings, just as a reminder, we have Broadcom and Costco announcing their earnings. That could cause some volatility, so be ready for that. So that being said, let's now focus on Tesla stock. What do I see for the share price? As of right now, Tesla is technically on an uptrend and it's making higher lows. It's doing a good job at holding up, and there's a good chance it tries to continue this push. I think that we're stair-stepping our way higher. As you guys could tell, this setup looks a bit more bullish. If you want to be bearish on Tesla, you want to see us take out this red line right here, our 200 EMA. If we lose 443, there's going to be a risk of Tesla returning to 440 or below. But if we're bullish and if we keep on making higher lows, we could continue to push back up towards 450, then 455. So to me, I would argue that we're looking a bit more bullish. We're making higher lows so far, and Tesla could be favoring the low 450s or a retest of 455. But keep in mind, as we get close to 455 to 460, we've gotten many rejections. So once we retest that area, we'll see if Tesla rejects again, because overall Tesla is still range bound. If you look at the last week, it's been just going back and forth between key levels. So even if we do stair step our way higher and push for the 455 area, there's going to be a risk of rejection. For SPY, I just want to mention that we're trying to bounce a little bit, but overall we're just range bound. As we hit the low 680s, we like to bounce. As we hit the high 680s, we like to reject. So we're range bound. So because we touched 682 yesterday, we bounced to essentially 690, then we rejected back down to 682. We started to bounce a little bit. If we lose 682, we're looking for a big dump back down. If we break 690, we're looking for a big push higher. Considering we're trying to make higher lows here, we could attempt to push back up towards 686. If that breaks, we're looking for 688. Then we're going to see if we turn back down, as we're still technically range bound. On the QQQ, same thing is going on. As we touch Close to 630, we reject. As we get close to 620, we like to bounce. We basically got a massive rejection, then we bounced back up. If we end up losing 623, we could be looking for the low 620s. But if we break 625, we could be looking for an attempt to push for like 627.5. The setup is going to be favoring 625 or above, and we'll see if we reject. But overall, we're just range bound on SPY and the QQQ. On the IW, we're making higher lows right now. Now, if we end up losing a 253.5, we could be dumping back down. But if we end up breaking 255, we're looking for a big bounce here. We're in the middle. So we're going to have to see how this ends up going. But for now, it looks like it could be pushing for 255 for some temporary upside. ES is also and technically just range bound. As you could tell, we're just range bound as well. As we get close to about the lower 6,800s, we like to bounce, but around 6,900 we've rejected. Because we're making higher lows here, we could try to bounce a bit higher for 6,880, and we'll see if we get a rejection, but there is some temporary upside potential. NQ, this is bouncing off 25,400 and rejecting off 25,800. Because we're above our EMAs, we could push a bit higher for an attempt for 25,700 next for some temporary upside, and we'll see if you reject. Bitcoin has a double bottom, could be looking for an attempt for like 90,000. And once again, for Tesla, we're trying to push up a bit higher for 450 than 455. Nvidia is on a downtrend. Unless we get back above 181, we're going to be favoring 178 for some temporary downside. And then for other tickers out there, we also happen to have Aapl. This is looking a bit more bullish, but we're also watching the possibility of a left shoulder, head and right shoulder, even though it might be pushing for like the low 280s. We're going to see if it rejects, so be careful with Aapl. 280s likely coming. Palantir is looking a bit more bullish, trying to bounce a little bit for 186, but be careful with the possibility of a head and shoulders. If we get a big rejection, there is a gap to fill below. On AMD, we're technically on a downtrend. Unless we hold above 218, we're going to be favoring a move to 216. Coinbase kind of pumped and it's rejecting. Might retest 270. We'll see if it turns back down. Amazon's going to be favoring 232 for some temporary upside. Meta showing some weakness, but there's an inverse head and shoulders like pattern developing. We need to see it break past 650. Otherwise, it's consolidating near the low 640s. Google's favoring some upside around 322. And then Microsoft is going to be favoring some upside as well for 477 and eventually 478. And Oracle's on a big downtrend favoring 190, and we'll see if we bounce. So with that being said, we're consolidating. We're going to see if we bounce on the VIX or not near the 15 area. So be very patient, and we'll see what happens as time goes on. With that being said, I thank you all for listening. It does look to me like the market's going to be going a little bit higher to start things off, but we're completely range bound on SPY and the QQQ. And then for Tesla, despite that, we're making higher lows. So I could see an attempt for 450 or even 455. As long as there's no major bad news and Tesla does not lose this 444 area, we're still favoring some temporary upside. All right. Thank you for listening, guys, and peace out.